Last time we looked at looping in C++. What we're going to do now is work with structs. And structs are like a light version of a class, which we haven't got into, but we will. Basically, they allow you to define this more complex data structure that you can have different properties on. So say, for example, we're going to do a student. We can have a name, an age, and height all inside of this structure so that we don't have these disparate pieces running around trying to describe a student. So where name is a variable, age is a variable, height is a variable, and they're not linked to anything. In this case, they are going to be linked to something just called a student. So I'm going to create a new section here, and we're going to call this structs. And we'll create our first struct. So that's going to be preceded with the keyword struct, and we're going to call it student. And we'll create a body as usual using our braces. And notice the trailing semicolon right here on line 118. That's necessary to close the struct. So we're going to do char name is going to be 15. So we're basically defining 15 characters allowed for that character variable. And we're going to have a float is age and a float, which is height. And then down here, we're going to do a cout and say, please input your name. And we'll grab this into a variable called name. So we'll create an instance for our struct. So our struct is student, so we're going to create a variable called S1, and that is going to be basically an instance of our variable. And I need to define my name here, so I'm going to create char name 15, and notice this is going to be different from the name in here. All right, so for this, we are going to do a string copy, and we're going to do s1 dot name comma name. The reason we're doing this is because char arrays are not signable in C++. All right, and then we have our s1 dot, and you can see here we're getting output of the different properties on this, or fields that are on it. So we're going to do an age of 26, s1 dot, we'll do a height equals 6. All right, so our struct is set now, and we're going to do a few couts on this. So we're going to say something like showing data from, and then we're going to do another cout. We're going to have each of our values. So we're going to have a name here. We'll do it like that. This is going to be an s1.name, and we'll do a new line. And we're going to do all of them. So we can just copy these and paste twice. So we'll have age dot, and we can see we have age. We're going to have height, and when we do our dot, we can see height. Save, and I'm going to go ahead and do a, let's see, a breakpoint right after we create the last part of this, which is height. So I'll go ahead and let this run and continue to our breakpoint. Let's see, did we get down there? Okay, so we have an input here. I'm going to go ahead and let that run out. So please input your name, and I'm just going to do Brett. And so here we are. And if we go and look at our variables, we should see the assignment for everything inside of this struct. So if we scroll down to S1, that's where it's at. So you'll notice that our variables, we can't see them until we open the struct, which I do now. And here's name. And then we have the other variables for age and height. So I need to open up name, and you can see here the array is created for name. So I will go ahead and let this continue on out. And let's see our output right here. So that's all there really is to it with the struct. And just one of the things here, because we have this char array, we are needing to go ahead and create a copy, a string copy, to put it into this other array. So we grab the input and then we put it into our variable inside of the struct. And then these right here were just hard coded. You could have done a CN on those as well and captured that from the user. Now, what if we want to do something like a department name where we have string and we just do department name like that, and down here we can do s1 dot department name equals, let's say, accounting, save, and print it out. So down here we're going to do department name dot department name, save, run. So we'll have an input we need to get across, and then our name, and there we go. So you don't have to use, basically what I'm getting across, you don't have to use a character array. You can just use a string to capture if it is a string. So it just depends on your scenario of what you may want to do. All right, so that is a look at structs and concludes the fundamentals for this module. So we're going to have a challenge coming up, and we can go ahead and get into that one.